Hello and welcome to Claret Brew. We're back. For those that are new subscribers to the channel, this is a show we did every week, the three of us, for half an hour, every Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday, just to discuss things about Aston Villa. Now, we took a little break over Christmas, but we're back now in the full flow of the new year on the 27th of January, but with a bit of a difference today. We're talking transfers, everybody's favourite topic. So I've got two big ones, really, that we're going to talk about today, and we'll kind of do any other business at the end. You're right, John.
Show off.
No, come on. Yeah.
We're going to start with Tammy Abraham. John, you said on the Q&A yesterday that the latest was on Monday morning that it was expected to be Tuesday. It is now Tuesday. Is anything changed?
I don't know. It's not up to me. What?
Are you pressing send on the club statement, John?
Yeah.
Make sure you cap up club with a C.
Yeah, it should be today.
Is that it?
What do you want me to say? I don't know, do I?
I'm going to expand a little bit more. Matt, we'll come to you. Me and John feel a little bit.
I don't know, mate. I think it's going to be today.
We're back, everybody. We've spoken a lot about Tammy because it's kind of dragged on a little bit. We all thought he probably would be done by now, but it is a quite complicated deal with Besiktas had to buy him, first of all, from Roma before they can sell him to us, and that went through yesterday. I think it was 13 million euros. So they're buying him. Quick profit to us, everybody's happy, but it just takes a bit of time. There was reports that he was flying over for his medical on, was it Saturday night, John? Sunday night?
He flew over on Friday.
Friday night, okay. So everyone's kind of like, oh, he didn't play for Besiktas last night. Well, yeah, because he's already over here doing bits, but it's still just taking its time. So we've all kind of talked about him a little bit, but this is like our definitive, like, Tammy has signed or is about to sign or whatever. This is our thoughts. So Matt, do you want to kind of kick off with your Tammy's back? How do you feel?
I find it weird how there's had to be a trade before we can trade. Is it,
weird, isn't it? Yeah.
What they call, them boxes when you sell something through Vinted or eBay where you have to just drop them in a box outside
Morrison's
or whatever. Just see Tammy just being put in there.
Someone's got to go and pick him up.
It's good news, isn't it? It tugs at the heartstrings from an emotional level. Obviously, we got good memories. Hopefully it's not that difficult. What is it? The difficult second album when he comes back and fails to live up to the standards of the first. But I don't think that should be the case. I think I'm not sure we're expecting him to come in and score 20 goals. Certainly not in half a season anyway. But I think so. It works on an emotional level, but he's also a good player. And I think you said, Dan, when we spoke a week or so ago, he's kind of got Emery project stamped all over him. In a way, really. Somebody who's clearly got the tools of the trade, but probably just needs, I don't know, reawakening or that fresh sense of love and belonging. And there's a gap for somebody with his skill set, really. As much as we liked Donny, and I know he's only here for a year, but I think he served us well. He wasn't an alternative, really, certainly in Emery's mind, to Ollie Watkins. I think Tammy Abraham can be that. He can be somebody who can, work the defence in terms of putting the running in and leading the line, getting hold of the ball. He can score goals as well. I think he's probably got unfinished business with the Premier League as well. So whether that gives him the appetite to really, really make inroads, I think he's going to be hard pressed to use it as a springboard to get in the England squad, if I'm being honest. But you never know, do you? People get injured and things change. So theoretically, it should be win-win for everybody. Obviously, we know that there's probably going to be a load of hairy-arsed Premier League defenders who want to have their say and make sure that it's not a success for Tammy Abraham or Aston Villa. They don't have to be hairy-arsed.
But it helps.
Probably in today's day and age, they probably are particularly well-groomed. But the point is that they're probably going to try and stop the Tammy Abraham bandwagon from having the same impact that it did last time.
Is that going to be next week's episode, ranking defenders by how hairy their arse might be? Tier list. I've missed doing a podcast with you two together. It's good fun already. John, talk to me about the profile of Tammy a little bit. As I say, for anyone who's watched Q&As and post-matches over the last week or so, we'll have touched on these things a little bit, but like I say, this is our kind of conclusive wrap-up, if you like, before he's even joined as of recording. Is it kind of like for Watkins? If he was to come off after an hour, does Tammy come on and do the same things, or is he offering something different?
I think it's easy to forget the size of Tammy, and in this modern day Premier League football, which isn't great on the ice sometimes, long balls, throw-ins, you need height. And I was looking at the Newcastle team on Sunday afternoon, and I was thinking that, well, late on in the game, we could probably do with a couple more players coming on that can add some height to this team, because they had two huge centre halves. You've got Voltemada, you've got other players who, compared to some of our lads, were towering over them. And I think now, if Tammy's going to come in, that would certainly add to that side of the game. I know that he's good in the air from an attacking point of view. I can't remember him from a defensive point of view, but if you're going to be, what is he, 6'4", 6'5", Tammy? He's obviously quite lanky, but he's more than capable of winning headers in both boxes, I'd hope. So that is one area that I haven't really thought about, that I don't think we've discussed, which is a positive. But more than anything else, scoring goals, it's a commodity in football, and for the price that we're paying, if he can get us, I don't want to kind of give like an actual goal target, but let's say 5 Premier League goals.
That was my next question.
Okay. Do you want to ask it, or should I carry on?
Yeah, I want to kind of have a little bit of as we often do, a bit of a prediction segment that we can look back on and see who was right and who was wrong. What's the scope for Tammy? Like, obviously, we're not going to be able to predict how often might he feature, because some of that might come down to injury and opportunity as well. But let's just say he gets an average amount of appearances. Villa play 30 more games and he appears in most of them, whether that's starting or off the bench. What kind of goal tally would you be looking for him across all competitions? What's kind of success?
Well, you've got how many games? 15 games left of the Premier League season, I think.
Yeah.
So in the league, I think you're looking at, if you can get 5, I think that would be more than adequate, really, because then you're obviously asking for other players to chip in. Hopefully Watkins gets to 14 or so. I think that would be fine. And then in all comps, when you're mainly looking at the Europa League, aren't you? Who knows what could happen in the FA Cup? But in the Europa League, we've got possibly 7 games, I think, left. So double figures would be kind of a dream target for Tammy. I think that's what he'll be looking to do. But that will also be quite like an aspirational thing, I think.
We play Forest, don't we? Could get double figures against them, couldn't we? We've got them away, I think. I've just been checking with my my friend Alfred Inglethorpe, otherwise known as AI, and he or she reckons that all of his goals came from inside the box in his previous spell.
Oh, yeah. He's not going to fit in his all, then, is
That's not sustainable, is it?
He's got no chance of fitting in here. What did you search for Alfred to tell us that?
Well, I typed it out very... I've told you my relationship with AI, haven't I? At first, I was very respectful because I didn't want a robot army to come and batter down my door. But it gets so much wrong at the first time I've asked it. If I ask it again and say, "Are you sure?" it'll say to me, "Actually, you are right to question this. All of his goals came from outside the box." Got this polite start, so I didn't want the robot wars on my doorstep. But I started getting more and more firm by saying, "Are you really sure? That is ridiculous." Well, anyway, I asked it. I didn't type it very clearly. I said, "Tammy Abraham, Villa goal. How many headers? HEDDERS, penalties, etc."
Christ almighty. I don't know if I trust that answer then with that prompt.
They still quite well, actually.
How many headers, Tammy Abraham? Like caveman.
It replied, "Oh, it sounds like it must be you, Matt, with such bad grammar and how are you?"
Morning, Matt. The penalties is interesting. I forget about the penalties, but obviously big pressure moment for the West Brom one as well. And we don't have a penalty kick taker, really. He needs to be on the pitch for the penalty, obviously, and I don't know if he's going to be starting all the games, but it's nice to have that, especially in knockout football.
Well, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, he might not be on the pitch during the game, but if a match is going to a penalty shootout, you bring him on specifically for that. When you say we don't have a penalty taker, the other transfer that we might be looking at, Douglas Luiz, he could take a penalty as well. So we've suddenly gone from having no options to potentially 2. You don't agree, John?
No, the last one he took, though.
Yeah, but generally...
The fact that we don't
I
win
can't
penalties,
remember. I can only remember the Olympiacos one, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that'd be great having 2 penalty takers at our disposal if we ever won penalties. I suppose his potential for penalty shootouts in Europa League and FA Cup.
If he can aim for double figures across all competitions, with Villa are going to play 15-7, so I don't know how many in the FA Cup we get to the final, 5 or 6, 25 to 30 games maximum. For him to get 10 to 12 goals would be
good.
Pretty healthy return.
So Luiz scored 5 penalties for Villa, missed one, so you are right.
You're focusing on the bad ones, but generally before that, he was solid.
Tammy, next season, I know we're kind of looking a bit forward, but I think that's interesting as well. Like, what happens in the summer, right? There's obviously going to be a decision on a few different players, maybe Watkins as well. Do we think if he has a decent second half of this season, he could actually become the number 9 for us and start and be the focal? I'm not totally sure, but I think it's just an interesting observation that I think maybe Tammy might be thinking in that way. Like, if I play well, I will play over Watkins this season, but also next season, we'll probably need a new goalkeeper. We'll probably need a new striker, all those different things. That's something that interests me. Like, can actually Tammy be the first choice moving forward? I think that's something that that's aspirational for him, I think.
Yeah, and it's of benefit to Aston Villa if that's his feelings towards it.
Like, I don't think he's coming here just to be, I'll chip in every now and again, come off the bench every 10 minutes or so, at the end of the games. I don't think so. I think he will get quite a lot of minutes this season and into next season as well.
I think there's a few potential carrots for Tammy to kind of aim for. We spoke about earlier, the chance to be Villa's starting choice, whether that's this season or next. World Cup squad, I think probably would be too soon for him, but if Harry Kane and Ollie Watkins both get injured, there aren't loads of English strikers about. He might find his way onto the plane if he scores 8 goals in the Premier League in 15 games.
And he was under Tuchel, was he not? And at Chelsea?
Oh, good shout, possibly.
I'd have thought he was.
Have you got an answer, Matt, before we carry on?
I'm still waiting, mate. Ooh. Yes! Tammy Abraham did play under Thomas Tuchel at Chelsea, but his time under the German manager was brief and ultimately led to his departure from the club.
All right.
There we go.
I'll get an England squad then.
Tuchel might not be here after the World Cup in the summer, and it is a relevant point you make there, Dan, because England don't have many strikers beneath Harry Kane and Watkins, but he's 30 now. Tammy's 28. But there's a lack of younger English strikers.
Yeah, definitely. So I feel like there's a few kind of aspirations for Amy to go for potentially a World Cup squad, a starting place for Villa this season or next. Silverware with Villa, obviously. Still
he lost the Europa League final for Roma as well, so that'll be something for him.
Is there anything else you need checking, like the kind of the best supermarket price for marmalade or interest rate on ices or anything? I'm here for you.
Any tips for how to get rid of a cold ASAP? Because it's doing my head in already.
What's the difference between marmalade and butter?
What? Do you mean margarine? Margarine is not real butter. There's no animal product in it. Is that right, Matt?
It's like vegan butter.
Is there animal product in butter? Well, of course, I'm sure there's milk.
Why are we talking about this? If you've heard of margarine, let us know in the comments down below. Right. I'm done with Tammy. Let's talk about Douglas Luiz. This was one that seemed like, he might be on a list somewhere, but this probably won't happen. But talks have accelerated, or whatever journalism phrase you want to peddle, over the last day or two. Now, whether that's because Yuri Tielemans is going to be injured for longer than they think, and now they are a little bit more desperate for a midfielder, it still remains to be seen. But Villa were interested in a midfielder before the Tielemans injury anyway, so if they can get somebody in, that's obviously our benefit to them. Just quick fire round the table. Matt, Douglas Luiz, yes or no?
Oh, quick fire. Yes.
Yeah. John?
Yes.
Okay. I'll say no then to be edgy. No, I also say yes. But I have my doubts.
In the circumstances, Dan, I don't think he'd get into our top 3 midfielders if all fit.
Agreed,
Kamara, Tielemans and Onana. I think we probably have, eclipsed that level now.
Yeah, agreed.
But, we were all eulogising about him, 2.5, 3 years ago. So how old is he? He's
20. I'm pretty sure it's 26 or 27 now.
We do need a little chat bot in the corner of this, though.
It's John.
27.
I've got doubts over it because I don't want to say the way he left as in like, he was rubbish, but he definitely fell off a little bit towards the back end of that season. He wasn't as good without Kamara. He will be playing now without Kamara, but Villa are also slightly different as well. I fully agree. If everybody's fit, Douglas Luiz does not start for this team anymore because we're better than him. But as an option when we've got injuries or if Ross Barkley isn't available, if we're playing the next few games with, I don't know, Bogard and somebody, because we're down to the bare bones, and absolutely Luiz comes in and starts in those games for whatever period that might be. But if everyone's fit and we're in the Europa League final, he's a squad player. And he's a good squad player. He's not had a great time at Juventus or Nottingham Forest and has been linked elsewhere anyway. So I don't want to go in loads on this as in like, oh, it's definitely happening, because there's always the chance it won't. But in the scenario that it does happen, I'd rather have him than not. But that doesn't come with like massively open arms of, oh yeah, he's a brilliant player, let's get him straight in. And I think the biggest thing for me is the kind of immediate impact of it, the hope of it. Bailey coming back, yeah, is he the perfect winger for us? No, I don't think so. But he knows the environment. He knows what is going to be asked of him straight away, and hopefully will hit the ground running as best as he can. Kind of feel and hope the same for Luiz. If he needs to be impactful over the next 6 months, signing Ruben Loftus-Cheek, for example, who I don't think would be the right fit anyway, he's got to get up to speed with what Emery wants, whereas Luiz at least knows a lot of the players still and knows what the manager will ask of him. And hopefully he will also have that carrot dangled ahead of him, Douglas Luiz, that it's not gone great for me post-Villa. If Emery wants me back, which is another talking point in a second, I've kind of got a second opportunity here at it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, Dan. I think my sort of main points are that it would be, anyway, initially a short loan. So we need a player to favourably hit the ground running, right? And who's got the best chance of doing that? It would be someone who knows Emery's structure and his processes back to front, and that is Luiz. Whether he enjoyed them or not is another sort of conversation. But I think something that you mentioned there about essentially, like, he's been away, he's been to Juventus, he's at Forest now, who are struggling in the Premier League, and he can't really get much of a look in, which is one thing. But then also he probably wants to feel that love again, and then also he knows how good he had it at Villa, I suppose, and what a really strong position he was in his career. So I think, yeah, this is certainly, we said it with Tammy before, this is certainly something that Luiz, I'm adamant, would be, welcoming, and would be absolutely up for coming back. It's more, how does he fit for Villa? But at the same time, it wasn't long ago that we were saying that he was, one of our better players in the season that we finished fourth. He hasn't lost his talent overnight. What he has had, however, is fitness issues and some injury problems. He played, I think it was about 3, maybe 4, 90 minutes for Juventus last season. And then this season, he's played an 88 and an 85 for Forest. Not had too much game time. So that's a concern for me, the fitness, because we haven't got a long spell here for the rest of this. Well, it's relatively sizable, but it's not as if we've got a whole campaign of 38 plus games in the league.
Yeah, if he misses 10 games, he's not going to play much for us.
Yeah, it's that we need him to be ready. He's ready in the sense of he can fit into the team, and we know Luiz, he knows us. But then the other side of fitness, Cat's here again. That's a bit of a concern.
His ex has just moved to the East Midlands, so that's probably why he wants to relocate. I thought it was interesting when he came back to Villa Park the other week, and the amount of love that he got. Other former players get different receptions to that, so I thought that was interesting. There's clearly a lot of affection there for him from the Villa fans still. I think he earned that over time. What did we describe it? We've described it as no, I was going to go for the Hello Kitty's ears again, but we didn't. It wasn't a Hello Kitty's ear. It went like that, flatlined and then like that, didn't it? Whereas I think it went a bit more like a pointed dunce's hat. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, he started quite slowly. It took him a while to get going, because he had to adapt. His English wasn't great, etc., etc. And then he kind of peaked. And then he kind of, I don't say flatlined again, but it was clear, I think.
On the decline, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was clear again when he knew that he was going to be surplus to requirements, or he was going to be the one who had to make way.
Yeah.
If Emery goes back for a player, that must be the ultimate must be the ultimate confidence boost. So if he's worked with you once and values you enough to get you back, then he clearly trusts you. He clearly thinks that you can be a pivotal part in his system. I know this one's possibly a little bit opportunistic, because if all of our 3, starting midfielders or first choice midfielders would have been fit and didn't have injury pronitis amongst them, then I don't think Douglas Luiz would have even entered the conversation. So there's probably something about it that, better the devil in a way, and that familiarity. But I think the fact that it's rubber stamped by Emery and it's got that endorsement, he clearly thinks that he's got somebody who can kind of plug in and play there. And it's not a time where we can afford to miss a beat, really, with the way the three fronts that we're competing on. Although having said that, I presume, is he in the Europa League squad?
Europa League, yes, he'll be able to play. Villa can re-register their squad after the transfer deadline day. If he signs before Thursday, likewise with Tammy and Leon Bailey, they won't be able to play against Salzburg because Villa have to re-register their squad after the window. But the fact that he was already playing for Forest in the Europa League is irrelevant. Examples of other players have played for UEFA competitions for one club and then the other in the same season. So that's fine. FA Cup, John, did he feature for Forest in their game?
Yeah, he did. Against
Did he?
Wrexham, which they lost. He played 88 minutes.
Christ. Is that why they lost?
No.
That's frustrating, isn't it? Because if
we
need options in the FA Cup, he would obviously be cup ties. That's a shame. So Europa League, yes, Matt. FA Cup, no.
Thank you. You're like my new handy AI assistant, aren't you?
Yeah, who needs AI, yeah. Have either of you read Guillaume Balagay's book?
Parts of it, yeah.
Not yet.
Okay.
Good answer.
I've got a segment about Douglas Luiz I want to read out quickly. You are in it quite a lot, yeah?
Am I?
Yeah. Matt Kendrick of the Claret Brew podcast. Some of it is quotes from a podcast, I think. Like, he's transcribed some quotes from like a post-match or whatever. 2 bits. I couldn't find the second bit this morning, but it was about like Douglas basically hitting his ceiling, which I'll come back to in a sec. But
Is that, when you say hitting his ceiling, not like in a kind of Mario Balotelli way where he was destroying his hotel room and setting off fireworks and stuff?
As in reaching the limits of his potential.
Oh, right, okay.
Douglas Luiz is a good example of what Unai does to players and vice versa. A very talented Brazilian player, a good guy who is deeply appreciative of Unai. Luiz often says Unai was the coach he learnt the most from. Douglas wanted to engage with Unai to understand more, but he also had moments of homesickness, and Unai's staff had to constantly stay on top of him, managing schedules, keeping him sharp in training, and making sure he didn't switch off. Eventually, it started to feel like they'd already drawn everything they could from him. For Douglas, keeping up with Unai's demands was exhausting. Those were his own words. When a player reaches a point where he's only following along like a zombie, just going through the motions, it's often time to start planning for his exit. So to bring somebody back that you discarded once before because you thought they'd reached their potential and maybe weren't following the instructions properly or weren't as enthused about your processes or whatever, does feel a little bit desperate. But Villa are a little bit desperate, so I understand it. Hopefully time away will refresh him and he'll come back and he will be motivated to listen, basically. But if he has hit his ceiling and we felt we were better than him, that's fine. I agree with that. But we're now at a stage where we have no midfielders. So Douglas Luiz coming in helps raise the floor, right? It makes our midfield options better because we don't have any at the moment. So whether he's peaked or not, doesn't matter.
What about his walls?
I don't know. You tell me about his walls. Do you know the point I'm trying to make?
No, absolutely. And I actually think that was then and this is now. And we've just spoken about the experiences that Luiz has had. He knows that he needs this next move to work for him if he wants to have any sort of chance of playing, the top level, really. I know he's at Forest, which are not a top side at the moment, but when he joined them, they were last season. And, everything that came with that is in Europe as well. And Nuno signed him too, and they were good under Nuno. And he was Portuguese. That helps him settle. Anyway, I think there's a lot to be said for him loving the club that he's going to as well. And he knows he's going to receive that. Again, no adaptation period needed, really. But bringing in Tammy, having Bailey back, having Buendia, there's a resurgence there, and having Luiz back, I think if you said maybe... I don't know, at different stages, like 4 of those players are going to be with you next season. I don't think I would have been particularly like, oh, we've improved a lot, but actually we probably have. But the point I'm trying to make is that they're committed to the team, they're committed to the cause, they know what it's about. Like, I think there's a lot to be said for that, whereas other players may come in and think, I'm here for 6 months, and hopefully after that I can get my move to elsewhere. And that worked for a player like Rashford, but the guy has an incredible ability, much more than other players that we would be able to attract right now. So not only are we financially restricted, but the options in the market, Luiz probably is one of the best options that we could go for, really, especially considering what he knows about the club and his emotions and feelings towards it as well.
The zombie thing is it's quite a strong thing to say, that, isn't it? Like a zombie that is just kind of, you know, wasn't capable of independent thought, was just kind of following blindly. I mean, it'd make a great announcement, wouldn't it? The posters would be brilliant, wouldn't it? Like, Dougie of the Dead, Return of the Zombie.
Yeah.
I think, like John says, I think at the moment, my collar's gone off on it. I think beggars can't be choosers. And I think of the options available to us. And to me, like I said a moment ago, it's being able for him to go in there quickly. We can't afford a bedding-in period, because this person, if we sign Douglas Luiz, chances are he's going to be a regular starter, at least while we've got injuries. So he can't play his way into form. He's got to be up to speed, know what the manager demands of him. You never know, dear. Maybe he's had a period of contemplation in his time away from Villa. He didn't agitate, as far as I understand, to move from Villa. It was just a kind of matter of circumstance. Yeah. So maybe he's thought, well, actually, you know, this is a good place to be. If I can try and convince that I belong here again, then maybe this is good for my kind of medium to long-term future. So I think if you're Douglas Luiz, it's an absolute, you know, he knows that he's going to be exhausted again. He knows that Emery's going to be super demanding, but he also knows that he's probably going to be under a coach and a mentor who's got the best chance of, I don't know, kind of kickstarting his career again, I think.
And he knows that he needs that. If, as James Book says, he was exhausted and a bit tired of it, you know, at the end of it all. Well, yeah, that's what you needed to be at the level that you were and to start for this team. And when you don't have that, you don't have someone as intense as Unai, then you're not as good as a footballer, and you don't get into a team who are 16th in the Premier League. So maybe all of this is kind of like full circle moment for him, and thinking, oh, actually, if I can get back to Villa, that's a dream situation for me. And as Matt says there, if I play well, maybe there's an opportunity to, you know, stay here beyond the season, because Juventus, they want to obviously get rid of him. Yeah, they'll have a permanent resolution to his future. Again, finances will dictate what we can do. But if in the summer there's a situation where we could, prolong his stay again, if that's something we'd want to do anyway, as you said earlier, Dan, that raises the floor. So that would be, I think, a positive thing for everyone. Kind of the key thing to wrap up there would be that him and Tammy, you said that they've both got things to play for. Luiz will be back in the Brazil squad at some stage as well, and probably not before the World Cup now. But still, there's a lot for these guys to play for. They're not just coming here to pick up a wage, and maybe they can pick up a medal if we win the Europa League as well, but not quite play their part. Tammy needs to score goals. Luiz will need to play games and stay fit. I don't see many downsides to these moves, considering the kind of predicament we're in.
And if Douglas Luiz is a bit, Emery's methods, they are draining, and if he doesn't want to be here at Villa full time, that's fine. But you know it's only 6 months then. I've just got to focus and switch on for 6 months, and I'll either then be a better player. And actually, I quite like working under Unai. He's pretty good, isn't he? I'd like to stay at Villa. Or I'm now a better player than I was at Nottingham Forest. I can now go and move to XYZ instead.
And if he doesn't want to go through the laborious training sessions or video analysis meetings as he thinks that maybe they were, he won't join. So if he joins, he knows what he's getting himself into.
Okay, I'm happy to wrap up there. Anything else either of you want to add? Take that as a no. Thanks both for joining me on this one, the reintroduction of Claret Brew, which is basically the same as any other episode, but a bit more silly, if you can believe that. Thank you for watching along or listening to this episode. We'll be back on Wednesday with a discussion about Villa's title race or top 4 aims that John and I recorded as well. And Thursday night will be a post-match for Salzburg as well. So thanks for tuning in to this one. We'll see you on the next one. Bye!